Walk onto any used lot in America right now and you'll find them parked in the back row. Dusty, marked down twice, nobody's even asked about them. Meanwhile, there is a line of buyers fighting over a used Toyota RAV4 with 80,000 miles and a $24,000 price tag, because everyone is convinced that badge is the only safe choice. Here's the problem with that thinking. Reliability isn't a brand, it's an engineering decision. And there are SUVs sitting on lots right now, ignored, underpriced, treated like junk, that were built with the exact same boring, bulletproof engineering philosophy people pay a premium for on other badges. They just don't have the badge tax attached. Today I'm counting down 5 SUVs nobody's buying that will outlast a brand new SUV off the showroom floor, and I'm saving the one that gets the least respect in the used market for last, because it might be the single most underrated SUV you can buy right now. Let's get into it. Number 5, Ford Escape. From 2013 to 2016, 2.5-liter 4-cylinder non-EcoBoost. Starting at number 5, the Ford Escape, but only one specific version of it, the 2013 to 2016 models with the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, not the turbocharged 1.6-liter or 2.0-liter EcoBoost. Here's why that distinction matters so much, it changes the entire buying decision. Ford sold 3 engines in this generation of Escape, and 2 of them, the EcoBoost turbos, have documented histories of coolant intrusion into the cylinders, head gasket failures, and overheating issues that show up right around 80,000 to 100,000 miles. Buyers who don't know to check the engine code end up buying a ticking time bomb and blaming Fords in general when really it's one specific engine family. The 2.5-liter isn't flashy. It doesn't have a turbo, doesn't chase efficiency numbers on paper, and Ford barely marketed it because the EcoBoost got all the attention. But it's the same duty cycle philosophy that's kept Ford's naturally aspirated 4s running forever in other platforms. Timing chain, port fuel injection, no forced induction to cook the internals under load. Because most private party sellers and even some dealers don't separate the engines out in listings, you'll regularly see a naturally aspirated Escape priced the same as, or lower than, an EcoBoost with the exact same mileage purely because buyers can't tell the difference on the surface. That's a gap you can use. A clean 2.5-liter Escape with under 110,000 miles is typically running $8,000 to $11,000 right now. And a comparable RAV4 from the same years is $2,000 to $4,000 more for a vehicle that isn't meaningfully more reliable. It's just wearing a badge people trust by default. When you're inspecting one, pop the hood and confirm the engine code is the 2.5-liter Duratec, not an EcoBoost badge on the hatch. Badges get swapped or missing on trim levels, so check the engine itself. Look at the coolant reservoir for any oil sheen, which would suggest the previous owner had a version with head gasket trouble. And check the 6-speed automatic's fluid, if it's ever been serviced. That's the difference between 150,000 miles and 250,000 miles on that transmission. Number 4, Chevrolet Equinox 2010 to 2013 2.4-liter Ecotec with one major caveat. Number 4 is going to get some hate mail because the Chevy Equinox has a real reputation problem. But stick with me, because the issue is narrower than people think. The 2.4-liter Ecotec 4-cylinder in the 2010 to 2013 Equinox has a well-documented oil consumption issue caused by piston ring design. And if the owner did not stay on top of oil levels, that engine can burn through a quart every 1,000 to 2,000 miles and eventually seize. That's real, and that's exactly why this SUV sits in the back row of every used lot in the country selling for pennies. But here's what most buyers don't know. General Motors issued an extended warranty and a piston ring service bulletin for this exact issue, and any Equinox that's had that service done, or one that's been religiously checked for oil level, does not have this problem going forward. The engine underneath the oil consumption issue is otherwise a solid, simple design. Timing chain, no turbo, straightforward electronics. Once the ring issue is addressed, it runs like anything else in this class. This is where inspection does all the work. Ask for service records specifically showing the piston ring replacement, or do an oil consumption test yourself, fill it to the line, drive 1,000 miles, check it again. If it's barely moved, you've found the exception in a segment everyone else is scared off of, and you'll pay for it. A clean, verified 2.4 Equinox with the ring service done is going for $5,000 to $8,000 right now, thousands less than a comparable Honda CR-V purely because of reputation damage that, on that specific unit, no longer applies. The lesson here isn't buy any Equinox, it's that a documented, fixed, known issue vehicle is sometimes the single best value in the used market because the fear keeps the price down long after the fix keeps the problem away. Number 3. Toyota Highlander, 2008 to 2013, 3.5-liter V6, non-hybrid. Sliding into number 3, and this one is going to surprise people who think I only pick on unloved badges. The third-generation Toyota Highlander, 2008 to 2013, with the 3.5-liter V6. Not because it is rare or a secret, everybody knows Toyota V6s run forever. The reason this one makes the list is pure market inefficiency. Buyers overwhelmingly shop the RAV4 and the 4Runner in the used Toyota SUV market, and the midsize Highlander gets skipped over, which keeps pricing artificially low relative to how good the vehicle actually is. The 2GR-FE V6 in this generation is one of the most proven engines Toyota has ever built. It's in the Camry, the Avalon, the Sienna, the Lexus RX. Timing chain, no turbo, no direct injection carbon buildup on the intake valves, which port-injected engines like this one avoid entirely. It's not uncommon to see these cross 250,000 to 300,000 miles with nothing more than routine maintenance, oil changes, a timing chain that essentially never needs touching, and a transmission that, if serviced every 60,000 miles, will outlast the rest of the vehicle. Pricing on a clean, non-hybrid V6 Highlander from this generation with 120,000 to 150,000 miles is typically $9,000 to $13,000. Compare that to a same-year 4Runner in similar condition, which is regularly $14,000 to $18,000 for a vehicle that isn't meaningfully more durable. It's just got a more devoted following. Inspection priorities. Check for a smooth idle with no ticking, which would point to timing chain tensioner wear on higher mileage units. Look underneath for any oil seepage around the timing cover, a known minor wear point that's cheap to address if caught early. And verify the transmission fluid has actually been changed. Toyota's own severe service schedule calls for it more often than most owners realize, and skipped fluid changes are the only real way to shorten this engine and transmission's life. Number 2, and we're staying with Ford for a second entry because this generation genuinely deserves it. The 5th generation Explorer from 2011 to 2015 with the naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6, and again, avoid the turbocharged EcoBoost version for the same reasons as the Escape. This Explorer generation gets a bad reputation because of well-publicized exhaust and transmission complaints on certain configurations, and because of how badly the EcoBoost versions age. But separate those from the 3.5-liter V6, and you've got a genuinely durable midsize SUV that nobody wants because the whole nameplate got painted with the same brush. The Cyclone 5.6 in these is a straightforward port-injected engine with a timing chain and none of the turbo-related carbon and cooling issues that plague its EcoBoost sibling. Paired with the 6-speed automatic, it's a combination that regularly sees 200,000 plus miles in fleet and family use with nothing more dramatic than brakes, tires, and fluid changes. Because the Explorer nameplate carries baggage from other configurations and other generations, a clean 3.5 V6 model with 100,000 to 130,000 miles is often priced at $9,000 to $12,000, several thousand less than a comparable Toyota Highlander or Honda Pilot from the same years, for a vehicle that, mechanically, holds up just as well when you buy the right engine. If this kind of comparison is useful to you, hit subscribe. I break down exactly which engine and trim to buy and which one to avoid on a different vehicle every week. Inspection checklist. Confirm the engine badge and VIN code as the 3.5 V6, not EcoBoost. Check the rear differential fluid on all-wheel drive versions since it's commonly skipped by owners who don't realize it needs service. And check the transmission for hard shifts between second and third gear, a known symptom on units that have never had a fluid change, and a $200 fix if caught before it causes real damage. Number 1. Kia Sorento, 2011 to 2015, 3.5-liter V6. And here it is, number 1. The SUV I'd point almost anyone toward if they came in with $10,000 and needed something to last the next decade with minimum drama. The second generation Kia Sorento, 2011 to 2015, with the 3.5-liter V6. I know exactly what you're thinking, Kia. And that reaction is precisely why this SUV is number one. The brand carries so much used market stigma left over from a previous generation's reputation that buyers won't even test drive it, which keeps prices artificially depressed for a vehicle that has genuinely earned better. The 3.5-liter Lambda V6 in this generation is a joint engineering effort shared across Hyundai and Kia platforms, and it's proven itself in everything from the Santa Fe to the Azera. It's naturally aspirated, port-injected, timing chain-equipped, and it doesn't carry the turbo or direct injection failure points that plague a lot of the competition it gets cross-shopped against. Paired with a conventional 6-speed automatic, it's a mechanically simple, well-understood combination that independent shops have no trouble keeping alive for 200,000 plus miles. The pricing gap here is the most dramatic on this entire list. A clean 2011 to 2015 Sorento 5.6 with 100,000 to 130,000 miles is regularly available for $6,000 to $9,000. A comparable Toyota Highlander or Honda Pilot from the same window is $10,000 to $14,000 for a vehicle that, mechanically, is not meaningfully more durable. You are paying $4,000 to $5,000 purely for brand comfort, not for additional reliability. The one thing to actually watch for on these is that Hyundai and Kia issued extended powertrain warranty coverage on certain Theta and related engine families for oil consumption and bearing issues, but the Lambda V6 in the Sorento was not part of that recall population. It is a different engine family entirely, and it is worth knowing that distinction. So you are not scared off by headlines that do not actually apply to this vehicle. Still, check oil consumption the same way you would on anything else. Verify the transmission fluid has been changed, and inspect the timing chain for any cold start rattle, which would indicate a stretched chain on a very high mileage unit. Who should buy a Sorento V6 from this generation? Anyone who needs 3 rows or a full-size SUV footprint without full-size SUV money. Anyone tired of paying a badge premium to feel safe about a purchase. And anyone willing to look past a stigma the vehicle itself does not really deserve anymore. Recap plus outro. So there it is, 5 SUVs the used market keeps ignoring, and every one of them will hold up just as well as the vehicle everyone's overpaying for instead. The Ford Escape 2.5, the Chevy Equinox 2.4 with the ring service done, the Toyota Highlander V6, the Ford Explorer 3.5, and the one nobody expected, the Kia Sorento V6. None of these are going to impress anyone in a parking lot. What they will do is get you where you're going for the next decade without draining your bank account on repairs for a badge that costs more than the engineering underneath it justifies. Next time you're shopping and a listing looks too cheap to be reliable, don't assume it's a red flag. Check the engine, check the records, and find out if it's actually a market inefficiency instead. If this kind of no-nonsense comparison is useful, subscribe. I put out a breakdown like this every week, and if you want to know which full-size SUVs have actually earned their price tag, that video's linked right here. Shop smart. Check the engine before you check the badge.